And welcome back. You like a little Bill Withers?
Hey, can you just let me listen?
Wait, Derek! And, you want to keep that? You know, I still,
Tyrone,
if you're listening, I'd still like to do the little music gig one night a week. And I like my music. It's not always the same. I change it up. You can't pigeonhole me, right? So.
Hey, you know one thing I want to say, though? I hope people are listening with Ed Hoffman, and then after Ed Hoffman, do the whole Saturday Night Review. Mm-hmm. That stays on in our house. It goes off during Waters World and Greg Gutfeld. But, you know, we record those, too. So there's a lot of times we're just listening in the car. That's some fantastic music. Greasy Skillet and Fast Eddie and Dan's show.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. London Calling, great show. So, spend your Saturday night with Wham.
Yes.
Talk 1600. Yeah, we got great
You
music.
won't regret it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's take a quick call from Gary in Hazel Park. Gary, welcome to the show.
Hey,
gentlemen. I don't know if you're aware of it, but through Breitbart, they're telling us that there's a mob of 1,500 families coming up from Central America. They're halfway through Mexico, and they're headed for the Tijuana border, and they ought to be there in about 30 days. And they're going to come knocking on our door looking for sanctuary, and I'm not sure how we are going to handle it. And I think we shouldn't let them in. That's what I think. But if California is in cahoots, and they are, with the Mexican authorities, you know, because the guy running for the Mexican president was in L.A. campaigning, right? So they're going to let these guys in. And if they let the first group of 1,500 families in, that means they're going to organize another group, and in another year or 6 months, another group will be coming.
Yeah. It's time for law and order. You can't be a country without a border. It's that simple. Otherwise, we're just part of Mexico or Venezuela or whatever.
I'd like to go over the history of the Sandinista thing. I'm not Sandinista, excuse me. Sanctuary. Well, the sanctuary issue, because there were sanctuary cities in the Bible where if you murdered somebody and it was in the heat, you know, it was contested, and you wanted to let things slow down, God provided a way. You went to that sanctuary city, and you got shelter for a while. And that let tempers cool down.
That wasn't exactly accurate. If you accidentally killed a man.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. So,
because in tradition, blood feuds and stuff, they were trying to stop the blood feud.
That's right. That's what I was saying. So then it became a medieval thing, and if you remember Hunchback of Notre Dame, sanctuary. Yes, she wants sanctuary. Exactly. And then so during the Sandinista period, where we were trying to fight the Sandinistas. There were supposed death squads. I'm not saying supposed. There were death squads. And there were people fleeing that country and they're coming to the United States. Then a lot of the Catholic churches were providing sanctuary in the sanctuaries of their church. And it was more a political refugee movement that you could almost agree with, except that, hey, they were still flouting immigration law. But this is way beyond that now. I just wanted to give a quick progression of how that happened.
Yeah.
Well, what the left does is they take words and they pervert them, and they turn them into things that they don't mean, you know, such as right to life. No, or I'm sorry, choice. They're not talking about choice. They're talking about murder, you know, but they don't use words accurately, and same with the sanctuary city.
Yeah.
1984,
that's what was so hypocritical about the March for, what was it, March for Life? March for Our Lives last week, right? How about you march for the 60 million babies that have been aborted since 1972? What about their lives? What about the right to their lives?
Only 10% of the attendees there were 18 or under. Al Sharpton's brother was there, who was convicted on charges, wanted on charges of firearms charges. I mean, come on, you know?
Yeah, it's insane.
I've always been concerned about the life expectancy of a prostitute. I mean, those ladies disappear all the time, and I don't see whole communities rising up to march for the lives of the prostitutes.
Yeah, well, you know, one of these days we're going to have to open up that Pandora's box of Pizzagate again. You know what I mean? There are thousands of children that disappear in this country every year, and you can say whatever you want, craziness, conspiracy hat, Gary, but there's something going on worldwide with our children, and it disgusts me. And
when I was out in California, I did some on the street investigating for witchcraft, and I talked to several police officers and chiefs of departments, and they were telling me literally that thousands of people a year in L.A. disappear just because of the occult.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Try to think of Clinton's pal with the island. And he got caught with kids on his plane. And, remember that?
What's his name? Pedo Island.
Yeah.
Derek, can you look that up for us? The guy that does Pedo Island out there, Bill Clinton.
The Lolita.
Yes, the
plane.
Lolita Express, whatever it is out there. Yeah, that's and oddly enough, I think if you Google up that guy's island and you look at, there's like a shrine there, right? And some people are saying some of the markings on this, it's really kind of it ain't a house. Mm-hmm. Some kind of a temple-looking structure, and it's got a bunch of devil-worshipping symbols. So they say,
a lot of these sex
I'm no
cults.
expert in any of this, but it's enough to make me kind of cringe and go, "Ooh, man, you guys got too much money and too much evil plans on your minds." You know what I mean?
Well, young girls were on the street. I mean, they're looking for shelter, and then they end up sucked into this stuff, and it's
Jeffrey Epstein. Thank you,
you,
Derek. The Swiss Army knife. There he goes. He comes like that. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, I'm telling you, and it's not just Democrats. There are ugly Republicans involved in this too. So it's across the board. The elite, global elite, have some pretty eerie plans for all of us, and I don't like it. And for you folks that are against the Second Amendment, beware. Mark my words that something bad is in the plans for us. So keep your guns, folks. Keep your guns.
Shall not be infringed.
Gary, anything else?
Well, this global conspiracy, it definitely exists. I mean, it goes all the way back to the Grove, and the Illuminati and all these other names, Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
Even if each individual conspiracy is faulty, overall they're there, and they are doing it. They are trying to manipulate us into darkness. And what I mean by darkness is anything away from anything holy or godly, because they are New Agers, and they don't want spiritualism to be with a Godhead. They want spiritualism to be with the individual, and we are God.
Yeah.
And so that's the fight right there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the battleground.
Yeah.
They want to destroy anything holy and want to become the holy.
Yeah. So Gary, you're sounding pretty spiritual to me lately. Are we seeing a transformation in you?
Yeah.
No,
Rick and I were talking about you. Were your ears burning?
No, I've been like this for decades. There's nothing new about this.
Okay. All right, brother. Well, we'll see you again. I like it when you come into the studio, too. So we'll see you
in
again.
About 20 minutes.
Oh, good. You're coming in today. All right. Take care, Gary. We'll see you later. Okay. So, I'm going to have to get all George Norrie again here. And it's time for Conspiracy Gary to get his hat out and come in, and we'll do it. We'll have to do a show. We've had, who we get? We'll get Reverend Paul Waldmiller back on again. He was a guy that's got some issues and knew a lot about the Pizzagate stuff and all that. Because it's kind of cooled down.
Oh, yeah, I remember we were talking to him.
Yeah, we can get an update from him and some of
But
some of
even
that stuff
without the
going
Pizzagate, it's just that we just know that there's child sex trafficking out there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's done for people who can afford it. It's not done for people who are broken in poverty. You know what I mean?
And it's not just the third world countries, Haiti, El Salvador. It's here in the United States, folks. This is happening. And there are children here that are being used. There are women here that are being used. There are children from across the globe that are being imported here. And that stuff needs to stop. And the one thing, we can say whatever we want about Jeff Sessions. Since Trump has been in office, there have been hundreds and hundreds of people arrested on sex trafficking, child trafficking by Jeff Sessions. So, yes, he may not be doing all the work that we would like to see him do. And I hope he's just holding off until he gets to a point. But he is doing some on that work, and I don't think it's as easy and comfortable for those pedophiles and sickos to operate in this country as it was under Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we've got Joe. Joe, you're going to have to wait because it's too close to the end of the break. Hang on there, Joe. We'll get you on the other side of the break. But we're going to talk about Planned Parenthood funding when we come back as well. So we'll see you all on the other side of the break.
People are always on the go, driving to work, running errands. How do they keep informed? They listen to Wham Talk 1600 just like you. If you're a business owner, your message can reach these people wherever their travels take them. People tune to Wham Radio for the latest issues, discussed by hosts like Joe Pags, Fayron X, and Dana Lesh. And they'll stay tuned for your message as well. Call 734-971-1600 today and advertise your business with Wham Radio and whamradio.com. Whamradio.com.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. Democrats using their weekly address to reflect on last week's March for Our Lives in Washington, calling for an end to gun violence in America's schools.
People stood together, marched together, lifted their voice in this American tradition where change does not always come from Washington. It must come to Washington by citizens standing up and demanding change.
New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. Meanwhile, President Trump using his weekly address time to wish American Jews and Christians a happy Passover and Easter holiday. A disciplinary hearing determines the fate of a Baton Rouge, Louisiana cop for the shooting death of a black man in 2016.
Officer Blaine Salamone has been terminated from the Baton Rouge Police Department effective today.
Chief Murphy J. Paul on Friday. Previously unseen body cam video clearly showed Officer Salamone threatening to shoot his victim. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Your bridge to recovery and wellness is WellBridge. WellBridge is redefining the rehabilitation and nursing care experience with the most amazing care facilities you've ever seen. All WellBridge locations offer a resort-like atmosphere, and their driving goal is to provide each guest with an epic experience. Here's former patient Chris Tangeman from Howell.
I had back surgery. I had to go there for like 3 or 4 weeks, and let me tell you, they were just superb. I'm in this industry. I'm an LPN, and I mean, they're just excellent. The aides, the nurses, everybody. I thought especially that their therapy department was just phenomenal, and I would absolutely recommend WellBridge.
For rehabilitation and nursing care, ask for something epic. Ask for WellBridge. In Brighton, Fenton, Novi, and Pinckney. Now looking for talented nurses and certified nurse assistants to join their growing team, WellBridge invites everyone to learn more about them at thewellbridgegroup.com. WellBridge, your bridge to recovery and wellness starts here.
Whether you're moving across town or across country, you can always rely on 2 men in a truck for home, business, and long-distance moving. 2 Men in a Truck sells boxes and can provide expert advice on packing your valuable items. Need storage? Visit 2 Men in a Truck's new 12,000 square foot climate-regulated facility. Long and short-term options available. 2 Men in a Truck. Dino Drive off Jackson, west of Baker. Call 734-973-6683. 2 Men and a Truck. Movers that care.
And welcome back to The Drift. Thanks for tuning in and catching us this morning. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Hey.
Hey. Little War, right? Little
Yeah.
Cisco Kid. I love that.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good song.
That's my boating music in the summertime. I put on War and just crank it up and cruise the lake. Okay, so we've got Joe from Wyandotte calling in. Joe, welcome to the show.
Ken from Livonia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Him too.
I hit the wrong button, Ken. You got one up. So
You're
go
lucky
ahead.
Gary was at the board. I inadvertently hang you up.
Go ahead, Ken. You want to talk about sex trade?
Just a reminder that one of the biggest sources of the problem is Islam, the Muslims, because not only with the sex trade, but sexual abuse of women, Muslims have no restrictions against raping, what we call rape, of women as young as 5 years old, and women of the non-believers.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have to be reminded of that.
Yeah, across the Middle East and across Africa right now, the sex trade and slavery trade is huge, folks. And people want to talk about slavery back here in the States in the 1800s. Let me tell you, it's flourishing today across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Sex trade, slave trade, it's big, it's huge, and it's probably growing, frankly. And it's got a lot to do with that. So thanks for bringing that up, Ken.